Let's face it, every organization needs a consultant. Every organization, before implementing a new strategy or going into a new collaboration with new collaborative partners, requires a consultant. Many a times we find various consultants driving the force behind the successful organization. So, who are these basic consultants? The consultants are those who are not only the strategist behind the success and implementation of a process within the organization, but they are also the one who mentors the big B's and the big heads and the big thinkers of the organization. So, what exactly is the role of a consultant in any organization? To understand that, we need to understand a couple of points from the perspective of a director, of a manager, or of a head of the organization. When you are heading an organization, when you're heading the process, when you're heading any kind of operation involving man, resource, and money, you need to obviously consult a consultant. Now, consultants are those who has in-depth knowledge about a particular subject, which, when implemented in parallel to what your thought process is within an operation, within an organization, it yields much better results. It minimizes losses, it maximizes revenue, and the utilization of the manpower. What happens when a consultant is being consulted? It is the job of a consultant to advise, and not only advise, also see that the implementation of those strategies as advised by him or her is yielding result, is yielding a maximization of revenue, maximization of manpower, and the minimization or cancellation of deviation and losses. But when you are the head of the organization, what are the points which needs to be kept in your mind while consulting a consultant? Basically, there are 4 points which a head of the department or a head of an organization needs to keep in mind while they are embarking into the new journey of starting a new project, starting a new collaboration, or implementing a disruptive strategy. Many a times we are under the confusion what to be kept, what not to be kept, what is needed, what needs to be changed, and what needs to be abolished. Now, this is a situation when any consultant walks into the situation, takes over, and controls it. So, when you are the head of the department or head of the organization, first thing that you need to understand is the need of a consultant. Just because you're heading the organization, heading the department, or heading the operation, it is not your final call. Because there might be aspects which you might have ignored, which might you not have included in your checklist. It's not a question of being compliance or not. The main thing is when you're looking at a particular operation or an organization, your perspective could be completely different from the business perspective. Your perspective could be completely different from the way you look into the manpower resources. Your perspective could be completely different from the way your business is impacting the society, the business, and the environment. Just because you believe that maximization of this manufacturing of this product with this certain kind of chemicals is going to yield more results and more revenue for you might not be okay. You might not have considered the consequences, the negative consequences, rather on the impact or the impact that it would yield on the environment. Many organizations today are into the radar for being polluting the resources of nature. The need of a consultant is there when they feel that their activity, yes, production has to go on, yes, manufacturing has to go on, but not at the cost of human lives, not at the cost of animal lives, not at the cost of damaging the resources of the environment. There where the need of a consultant comes in, wherein they might able to suggest you the green policies which the world is accepting, the green way of manufacturing the same product. So, a new way of thought, a new way of realigning your thought process is but what is guided by the consultant. Not only it is guided, but the consultant also sees into whether that implementation of those new policies are yielding any difficulty, maximizing your profit, and also utilizing the man resource at the ultimate. So when you are the head of the department, head of the organization, or head of any kind of operation, first you need to accept the fact that there is a need of a consultant. First, you need to take into consideration that along with your thought process, a consultant can add value, can add meaning to what you're trying to do. The second point is, do not consult only one person. When you're talking to a consultant, how do you ensure that what he is or she is suggesting is actually the maximization of your thought process? So, you need to consult with not only one, but 2 to 3. Now, there are probabilities that what a particular consultant or what you are thinking in a line of action, the other consultants might be able to lay or show light of. As from the last experience or the last example that I mentioned, when you're looking into production, when you're looking into some kind of manufacturing, right? So you might have completely forgotten about the environmental kind of policies which are implemented, which if ignored might impose government restrictions on not only your production, even can cause a shutdown of the whole manufacturing plant. So while an environment consultant can guide you for the green piece, the green kind of process and the green kind of manufacturing of the product, a legal consultant might be able to guide you with the legal procedures which are needed to get the production ahead. A man resource maximization capability in a consultant can help you utilizing the number of human heads, the number of human resources which is implemented in the process. So, when you are discussing a new project, a new collaboration, or a new strategy, or a new production or manufacturing process, you need to consult not only one, but more than one for having a 360-degree view of what your process is, how it is going to impact you, business, your your human resource and environment in the bigger sense. Now, when I talk about consulting more than one, it does not mean that you open up your project, your collaboration, your new strategies to every person who's there. Too many cooks spoils the broth. There is an old saying. When I'm suggesting talk to more than one consultant, it doesn't mean that you go and talk to everybody and anybody in the management, in the organization, because what does that do is it exposes you to the risk of this competition, this strategy, this thought process being exposed to your rival competitors. You never know how information might be passed on from, I'm not talking about employee loyalty, but when a lot of people knows about what is going to be done, what is the kind of strategy the organization or you are going to implement, many times this information passes on across. Maybe as a simple gesture, it starts with a simple information sharing over a social media network, but then again there is a leakage of the data within or the thought process within the organization that not only imposes a difficulty or a restriction to your organization, but it also gives you this kind of shock of being laid back, because by the time you have thought about it, consulted the consultant and entered the market implementing the strategy, you might not know that your competitors are already ready with all the kind of policies that they had in the place, and when you launch the product you don't have a market for it because previous to this, your competitor has already come to know about your strategy, your green policies, or your kind of manpower resource management, and they might have already implemented those changes and come into the market, occupied the major share. So not only that is a risk to your business, but it is a risk to every other member associated with the management, because then the company goes into a loss. But when we talk about talking to more consultants, what we meant is talk to more than one, at least 2 to 3. That is what is suggested. And also talk to the mature ones, like those consultant who has seen various process in their lifetime, and how it has evolved, how it has given the maximization of revenue and maximization of resource. So when you're sitting with this mature consultant, you need to understand it is true that you have hired this consultant, but you need to understand that you need to sit with them, listen to what their advice is, and not only listen, get the feel out of it and try to implement those and see the result. The outcome needs to be again shared with the consultants, wherein it might require a bit of tweaking from their side, a bit of adjustment from their side, and again you re-implement those new adjusted policies. It's not once that you need to consult the consultant, it is a continuous process unless you achieve what your vision and mission behind your strategic thinking was. So when you are looking for advice, you need to look at the right place, from the right person, and in the right numbers. And also experience matters. A person who has gained a lot of knowledge through reading books and from the B schools, with due respect, that person might not have an exposure to the real market, to the real scenario wherein your business is operating. So instead of that, many people who have lesser educational qualification than those expensive B schools might have more experience working into process, implementing changes, seeing the changes happen, and making successful process run the business. So consult those and do the best. So with that note today, guys, we wrap up today's morning vibe session. Be sure that you consult the right person, and not only once but many, to have a 360 degree view. It is very important when you are taking that decision, because ultimately the decision and its responsibility is on you. So consult that consultant that is required, consult in the right number, and consult with the mature consultants which experience, wherein you will be able to not only fulfill your vision and mission, but also take forward your organization towards the path of growth. So talking about growth, we take all the advantage of growth in terms of thinking, collaborating, and in terms of sharing informations, right? With that note today, guys, I sign off from Morning Vibe Session from Career Counseling Online, wishing you all the best. It's a brand new week. Take care of your health, stay safe, stay home, and be productive. And as I always mention, learn, contribute, and evolve.